Welcome into the Marvel Stuff podcast. And like we do every single week, we're here to discuss, is having kids worth it? It's probably the only thing we actually have as much expertise in as Marvel.
Continuing the bloodline, but unfortunately we both have girls, so we are not continuing the last name.
Although my next child is a boy, so
that's true. But for right now, it's just the girl. So you're continuing the bloodline, but not the last name.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You never
know how these things turn out.
That's true.
By the time our kids grow up,
she could be a WWE superstar and have a stage name the rest of her life. You never know,
Last names might not even be a thing 30 years from now. Who knows?
That's true. It might just be like an identifying sound.
Yep.
Which is kind of what a name is when you really think about
it. Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly what a name is. All right. Interesting topic. Let's get into some Marvel stuff because that is what we are. I'm, of course, Coach, and with me as always,
Josh Kennedy from Facebook, and peep the fresh logo if you follow us on any of our socials, or you'll see the new cover art. This is the first official episodes with it. Thank you. Shout out to Ray. Killing the game as always.
Yes, it looks awesome. It's really cool. It's fun. It's got a little.
Also, no copyright. So, boom.
Which is good. I mean, I like this one better, so I'm glad that
I do too.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, let's talk a little Marvel stuff. There's a little bit of news, a little bit of housekeeping we want to get into.
Yep.
And it sort of opens the door for some broader discussions as we go. But obviously,
also want to just tag on the June will be good. We got a lot of stuff coming in June, so just know that we've got some cool content coming.
Well, yeah, I mean we got a lot of cool things, both just things we personally are looking forward to.
Yep.
And some things for the podcast. We'll probably end up breaking down Flash. We're obviously looking forward to Spider-Verse. So we're excited, and I'm sure you guys will be excited as well. But even further in the future, we did get a couple release dates, even despite what felt like infinite pushbacks. We do know now that Loki is going to be in October 6th.
Yep.
It's going to be a normal show. It's going to come out. Sounds like it's interesting.
Do we think that there was any sort of changes? The push has anything to do with Kang being a prominent part of it? Okay.
Doesn't sound like it's going to do any sort of, nothing was changes-wise, just a little bit of finishing up. And wanted to spread things out a little more. So that's exciting. I think it sounds like it's going to be good. I think we all know that we didn't love the end of Loki, but that's because they took a show that wasn't meant to be split and then they split it.
Yeah, I mean, I caught a lot of flack with my dislike for Loki, but I truly am looking forward to the new show because as an idea, it was a really neat idea. I like the idea of the Time Lord things, and yeah, it was very Doctor Who-esque, and it was just a fun time jumping, universe jumping, Tom Hiddleston looking handsome. It was great.
Yep, I look forward to it. I think it'll be fun. October makes sense as a release. I'm disappointed that they're not doing another set of Halloween and Christmas and.
I mean, you can talk about Echo first, or we can talk about the fact that show is so far away, and what the main topic, I guess, or loosely the main topic is going to be this episode is just content and how much it comes out. Let's do Echo first, though. Echo full season at once. Interesting.
Yeah, so Echo is the end of November, which there's not a huge gap between Loki and Echo.
That's true. It feels like they're picking back up in the fall, maybe, but
a huge gap in between.
Yeah, when's the Marvels again?
It's like midsummer.
So it's we got Secret Invasion, we've got that, and then am I forgetting something? I feel like that's it. Secret Invasion, and
actual MCU, Marvels. Yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, obviously we got Spider-Verse, and
when is Marvel's coming out? I feel like it's actually not till November. I
almost thought December in the top of my head, but I could definitely be wrong there.
Nah, MCU doesn't do December. It's November 10th. Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. We're gonna have a big gap, and then we'll have a push again at the holiday season. Echo sounds like it's just being tacked on. For everything I'm reading,
But I mean, let's acknowledge one, Echo was a cool character in Hawkeye. I did enjoy her. We know, confirmed by both, Daredevil and Kingpin that they're going to be in the show. I don't know to what extent, but they're both going to be in
it. Just because Marvel doesn't think it's going to be good and they're throwing it to the wayside doesn't mean it's not good. Doesn't mean we won't like it.
They're also trying something different. Like they're doing the Netflix approach, which Netflix still does it a lot.
It's happening because they weren't sold on it. They apparently did the whole set of reshoots. And when we say reshoots, apparently what it sounds like is after Iger took over, Kevin Feige came back in through with like a nice little fine tooth comb, and he was like, "This show is doo-doo butts. We are either going to cut it or reshoot the whole thing." So they reshot the whole thing. I don't know if that completely saved it. I don't think this model is going to stick. I think they're going to try it just for Echo. They're like, we put too much money into it.
But also, I don't know.
It might still be good.
Maybe it'll be a surprise. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because if it is a hit, is there any chance they adopt that in like future lesser known characters?
I have no idea. I doubt it, but I just don't.
Well, let me ask you this then: do you think She-Hulk would have been better served as a one season at once, just as an example? Just because they were short episodes.
Are you asking funny? What we as the audience is better for, or like what is better for the business of Disney? Because at the end of the day, their job is to keep people on Disney Plus. For us, I always like to just drop it, let me watch it at my pace thing, except for like big things, which essentially is like Game of Thrones is the only time I really.
Shout out Facebook user. I also love Daredevil. It's my second favorite Marvel character. Continuing on,
up there. Yeah, distracted by our adoring fans, which happens. Yeah, I like when they release shows all at once, especially shows like this that are like She-Hulk, Echo, a little bit lower, even Loki. I feel like you could drop the whole thing at once, and it's not going to be a cultural event anymore.
That one has the Tom Hiddleston star power, though. Like I think I don't know if you underestimated or people underestimated. Like he's somewhat of an icon to a lot of people. So just him being in the show is enough to like have people coming back every week. When Echo, you're probably right. You'd probably give it 2 episodes and then kind of forget about it because, things get busy in November.
Yeah. I think Loki, you're right, has a chance to like maintain people's attention, but it doesn't feel like shows are doing it as well. It takes like a big show. It usually has to be something new that comes out of nowhere or is like super popular.
Not new IP though. New IP rarely does well.
It's got to be like, oh, they finally made The Last of Us. It's this big deal.
That show was good.
Or be like super popular. Like Mando was super famous, but even then, it felt like this last season of Mando didn't quite have the.
Pretty aggressively. I've seen online that people were not a big fan of this last season of Mando. I watched it. I thought it was pretty decent. But it did become like the Bo-Katan show and things like that. It was more like he was a secondary character in his own show at points.
I guess the ultimate point would be it might just come down to quality. Quality might determine whether it should or shouldn't be week by week. Ultimately, Marvel wants to release everything week by week because the longer.
Yeah, because everyone can see the writings on the wall. It's just jumping from Star Wars to Marvel, from Star Wars to Marvel. They throw in a Pixar movie. They've got a couple of like Disney-esque shows that like some people will watch because they have Disney Plus, but it's not the draw.
Yeah, so I look forward to both these shows.
I'm very much looking forward to the Percy Jackson show on Disney Plus. I'm gonna watch the crap out of that because I love me some Percy Jackson. But
that is a side note, and I'm interested by it. I like the movies. For us as content creators, obviously the week-to-week thing is easy. Yeah. It's money. Although it's not always our most popular episodes.
Yeah, our more popular ones are the ones where we're like creative and stuff, which is cool. Which I can also appreciate that like we're our ideas are more valued than just another review show. But I also like doing the reviews.
That's cool. Like how are we gonna do Echo? Do I have to watch Echo all at once so I can put it on this podcast? These are all questions we'll worry about when we get there.
Good point.
I hope Echo's good. I hope it's not just being thrown away. But Disney tried to throw away. Was it John Carter? That you ever watched that movie?
Is that no
Gambit, please.
Gambit. Yeah. No, I didn't watch it though.
You should watch it, but this is exactly you didn't watch it because Disney tried to bury it.
I do remember that name sounds familiar. Is it Taylor Kitsch then?
Yeah.
Taylor Kitsch? Yeah, okay. I didn't watch it, but I heard some interesting things. It gets in the alien sci-fi thing, which can get exactly. It gets
not
a little
your favorite, not your favorite thing. But yeah, it's one of those things Disney tried to bury, and it's actually a pretty good movie. So if that's the way Echo goes, then that's pretty good. But it does.
I'm always fantasy over sci-fi. That's how I feel about most things.
It does lead to the larger question at hand that I think has been the constant. We've talked about it a couple of times. The constant debate of quality over quantity, sort of the Bob Iger recombing. There's been a few different Disney news things that I think connect to this. The Star Wars Hotel. Do you remember that thing?
It's closing after like a year. Why is it closing already? Just because people didn't want to pay big money?
Just didn't make enough money. It was one of those things that they tried to be like, "Ooh, we're gonna have this big, fancy, very expensive hotel."
Well, they tried to charge like, what was it, like double or triple their normal hotel prices? Like, no one cares that much, dude.
Like,
you got a few nerds that's what I'm talking about. Like, you get a few nerds and rich people, but when you're really trying to like get the real juice out of the Disney, you gotta go cheap because that they want to find a bargain. They want to go to all the parks. They don't even spend that much time in the hotel. I didn't think it made that much sense to make a themed hotel anyway.
Yeah, but that was them trying to do too much quality and not enough quantity. But the streaming seems to be the opposite. As we know, they've pushed back a lot of things. Nothing's really been cut yet.
I don't know. Has anything officially been put on or dropped to the cutting room floor? I don't think so. Wait, no. The Spider-Man animated show. I'm pretty sure that got canned, but no one cared anyway.
So far as we know, nothing live action has been officially canned. But there are things.
And yeah.
What
if season 2 is still happening? Which that one's interesting because I don't know, wasn't really received super well, but I guess they already did most of that. It's animation, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's probably been done for a while. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's one of those unanswerable questions. It's always like, is it superhero fatigue? Is it the way they're putting them out?
There's a couple things. Superhero fatigue is definitely a big part of it. I think another part of it is just like they don't have to be at the forefront of people's minds because they're already huge. Like kind of the point of putting on consistent content, just us as an example, we put out a weekly podcast. So we don't want people to forget about us. They keep coming back.
Don't forget about us.
If we take 3 weeks off, our audience is going to drop in half because people are going to, they're going to forget and move on. But MCU Marvel, it doesn't it's never going to go anywhere. You could take an entire year off and people would still come watch the new Spider-Man movie. It's just, they're always going to be there. But at the same time, it's like there is kind of a void. I mean, I know I feel it as a Marvel fan. I mean, we're jumping in between movies. We had Quantumania, we had Guardians, which I loved Guardians 3, so I'll say that. But historically, those two were not even in my top 3 or 4 franchises within the MCU, and that was kind of all we were getting this year, which bummed me out.
This year's a weird year. I mean, there's no doubt about it that in the debate of quality versus quantity, it felt like just looking at the slate that they didn't have either.
I mean, turns out Guardians was dope, but it didn't look like it had either.
I was looking forward to Guardians, but yeah, I mean, not a lot of people looking forward to the Marvels. There's some people looking forward to Loki, but no one's looking forward to Echo. It's one of those things. They spread things out, but they haven't brought the juice.
That's what they need, dude. Like I know it would be pushing it, and I wouldn't want them to actually do it, but if they would have got Daredevil Born Again, plunked right in the middle here in the summer or something, boom, bam, dude. That's how you do it right there. Especially because that's 14 episodes or whatever they said, 20 episodes. It's a lot of episodes. So they could have connected the two things. But obviously that's wishful thinking. I mean, they're still in production for that, I think.
Yeah, which is why I think my argument to this debate that I keep seeing here on the internet, my argument's just, it depends on who you got. You could turn out Wolverine, then Fantastic Four, then Daredevil, then Spider-Man, and you could do that every single month, once a month. There would be no superhero fatigue. There wouldn't be a question of quality. It was because those are big, giant names. We don't care how.
But a little bit of the problem there is you get the Robert Downey effect, where every time you keep bringing them back, you gotta pay them more and more money. And you start doing monthly. I mean, they're gonna be making negative money on movies.
God, it would be a long time before they're making negative money.
I know, but like just Ryan Reynolds as an example. If there's a Deadpool 13, how much money is he gonna make on Deadpool 13? Just all of the money. He's got to have like 30% of the box office or something crazy like that. You know, obviously that's an exaggeration, but still.
I don't know how much. I mean, it felt like Robert Downey Jr. was getting
a lot of money,
at least double digits percentage of the box office.
Like. He was making just stupid bank. Anyway, no one can even get mad at him because like he was arguably the best part of the MCU for a lot of people. So can't say anything about it.
Yeah, I think the question it can't be answered, and I don't think we're going to know for a decent amount of time.
Well, I mean, looking forward, this isn't technically what we really do most of the time, but we have like Secret Wars and the rumors like everybody and their mother that's ever played a superhero is coming back. Does that open up more opportunities to keep hitting the nostalgia thing? Where all of a sudden we've got a Fantastic Four starring Jessica Alba series or something like that, just as, you know, or Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, the series, like things like that. Does that open more up, or do you think that's going to be a one-off? Does it depend on the character? I mean, this is all speculation, but it's something to talk about.
I'm going to answer this two different ways. First, I'll start by saying I'm very interested to see what kind of juice Secret Wars has. I have a feeling it'll be a little niche, and I don't think it's going to draw like attention of anyone except the super fans. I think the super fans
depends on who you get, because if they get one of the Spider-Men, which they sound like they're getting Toby, not sure if that's confirmed or not, but that's a heavy rumor. And if him by himself could pull people,
you're like, that's a big episode. That's episode that makes the news. That's like you pull up Google.
Is that an episode? Is Secret Wars a show or a movie? I actually don't know.
It's a show.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then that's gonna go gangbusters.
No. Sorry. Yeah. Oh my God. There's so many wars.
Yeah. There's Secret Invasion and Secret Wars. So yeah.
Secret Wars is a movie.
Yes.
Secret Invasion. That was the one I'm curious about the juice. Secret Wars is so far off that it's hard to say.
That's the problem. The delayed gratification, Coach. That's the problem.
I just feel like we're way too far away to know what the juice for Secret Wars is going to be.
Yes.
But
so we need something to just kind of reinvigorate the MCU as a whole right now. Like even Guardians, pretty obviously, if you've watched it, is a conclusion for most of the Guardians, I would say. Spoilers, I mean, obviously, it's the end of the trilogy, so you guys can figure that out yourselves, and we won't spoil anything specific, but still, it felt very much like a conclusion for those characters, so it's not like they can keep calling these guys back and it suddenly has juice. I mean...
Yeah, it didn't do it's not Civil War. It doesn't have...
Right. It doesn't have Black Panther and Spider-Man showing up. It's just...
Not introducing Guardians. New people. It's not...
Well...
Continuing a story. For like the MCU itself. For the story that's going to be told here in the Marvel universe. Marvel's might. It seems like the Marvels themselves... I think that movie's actually going to further the plot of the MCU.
At what cost, though? How many people are actually interested in the Marvels? I know you and I are among that group.
If it's good, it
has to be good, man. I mean, we're talking like it's got to be as good as the first Wonder Woman movie to get people to actually pay attention to it. Like, it's got to be good.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be good, but it could be. I mean, I love this people I like. We'll see, but I think
it has an identity issue. From what I can tell, it seems like it's going for a comedy, but also like an action team up. It's almost too family for me. It feels like it's a Disney movie, which it is technically, but I don't know, man. We'll see.
Between that and Secret Invasion, I think there's like a chance the MCU gets back on the rails. It's like, all right, we've introduced all the characters. We've tied up the loose ends we needed to tie up. Now we're moving forward. At some point, they have to like start moving forward. Nothing has moved forward since.
That's the problem. Yeah, because Endgame was a conclusion for a lot of characters, and everything else since almost has been dealing with the fallout, which was a good phase and all, but it doesn't feel like it's building.
There was a good phase after Endgame. That was the fallout phase.
Right.
WandaVision, the Captain America, Falcon Winter Soldier. That's the fallout. Doctor Strange sort of is still in that same vein. You're in the fallout of Endgame. But then there was like Shang-Chi, movies that I like. I like Shang-Chi.
Yeah, me too.
You know, it's movies. Black Panther, even though it was more the fallout of like a real life death than it was connected to the MCU at all.
My least favorite part of that movie was them trying to build up other characters like Midnight Angel and Ironheart. Like that was my least favorite part of that movie. It was just
because they're only being built up within Black Panther. There's nothing connecting anything with Marvel right now.
Right, that's true.
We keep saying things like, "Oh, the Young Avengers." None of the Young Avengers have ever met. They haven't talked. There's no like paths. Plot making them cross paths. The only plot we have of crossing paths was like, what's her face from
Yelena?
Seinfeld?
Oh,
connecting
Lady Hydra or whatever her name is.
Like Thunderbolts, like which like of all the things,
that's coming too.
Like,
but
who cares about Thunderbolts? Like
I like a couple of the characters, but you're right that team up feels off. It feels like the 2016 Suicide Squad is how that feels. It's like, yeah, I like a couple of these characters, but
I just felt like the Young Avengers was such a smarter move to be like their next team up is going to be the Young Avengers. Made so much more sense. I know that it'll eventually get there, but to our point right now, you got to stop. We're too far along now to keep this. I don't even know what you'd call it, pussyfooting around.
It just feels like we're getting conclusions in, I don't know, introductions. That you're right though. Nothing's like flow. It doesn't have the flow that the old MCU used to have, and I think they're going to get it back eventually. But like everything is set in the same universe, but somehow feels disconnected at the same time. It's super weird.
I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones, and just like nothing is like moving forward. Like we're like
slow.
Season 6 of Game of Thrones, and I'm just like, can you get to the next thing?
Can I see a dragon, please? Can I get some dragons?
Show a dragon, do something, move me forward in some way. That's what Marvel needs. So I think that's the answer to the question. Whether it's quality or quantity, you need to have shows that are moving things forward, which I think Secret Invasion should, but we have no idea. What if we watch Secret Invasion and it's just like its own self-contained story?
Agent Ice Tray, shout out to you. He says he's not caught up on anything, but what up, guys? So thanks for.
Well, here's to my point.
Adam, he's my brother. Just as an example, we grew up big time superhero fans. Clearly, I took that.
He's not watching Secret Invasions.
Exactly.
Not watching Secret Invasions.
Yeah, Adam. Did you guys watch the Mario movie? You know what? No, I did not watch Mario. But at the same time, like. Adam loves Thor and Spider-Man. Those are heavy hitters. Where have they been?
I mean,
we got Thor 4, and like, it kind of sucked.
Mario was a big deal. Mario is by far a bigger movie than anything the MCU's put out.
Oh my god, he had so much money. I mean, kids want to watch it 3 times in theaters, so that's a big part of it. I don't know. What do they need to do? Because it feels like in their attempt to please everyone, they are, I don't know, neglecting some of the individuals. I don't know how to say it. It's just like they're pushing away potential when they're trying to adapt to what's allowed now.
I get that they painted themselves in a corner, that they had actors they couldn't pay anymore, actors who wanted to move on, all those kind of things. So you have to reboot. You have to get new actors, new stories, new things. And I get that. But at some point, like we said, it's just been too many. It's been too many introductions and not enough moving the actual Marvel MCU plot forward. Like we have no idea what's happening with the MCU. Like we know because we know what Secret Wars is. But like the average fan who doesn't even know Secret Wars is coming,
they think Nick Fury's been dead for like 10 years, bro. Like the average audience member, they're just like, where's Nick Fury been this whole time? Who knows?
Like if you have just watched everything from Endgame, you would have no idea. There's nothing happening. Like you said, nothing. You got
Spider-Man
in closing.
Spider-Man was sick.
Spider-Man was sick, but it's also, again, it was just a closing of a story. It was a closing of Spider-Man and like a more of a rebooting of him. Very much a self-contained, very cool movie. Doesn't move the needle. Doesn't get you excited for the next Marvel movie. Get you excited for the next Spider-Man.
Had, it featured those two characters pretty heavily, so it helps with that individual universe. But you're right, another one that didn't feel like it contributed to the overall MCU storyline.
I don't think anything has since
and came back.
I don't think anything has since the shows, since the Loki, the Captain America, and the whatchamacallit. I don't think anything has felt like it's moved the needle, except the end of Ant-Man, which is now
they tagged that on the end of a movie that was subpar at best. So
I know, really terrible, and that even that's in flux because legal issues. So
yep,
it's
another big deal.
It is what it is. I think Secret Invasions is the start of turning the corner. So I'm just going to keep pretending that's the truth. Secret Invasion and the Marvel is going to be the turning of the corner. We're going to go into next year hype for Marvel. If not, we're just going to switch to DC because the Flash is coming out and it looks good.
Ooh, James Gunn's got a whole plan laid out for that. Hey, I'm a DC boy at heart, but Marvel's got the longevity and the consistency, but they're starting to lose that consistency at least a little bit. Like, I don't know, man. Does anything feel tarnished to you? Like, it's just, I don't know, overdone. I don't necessarily.
I don't feel that way because every time I walk into a theater and walk out, I go, oh, I like that. For the most part, like other than Ant-Man, I still think I like every project. But there is something to like. There's no. When we first started this podcast and we were watching WandaVision, like there was a legitimate like push to like let's theorize, let's think, what's coming. Well, now nothing is coming. Like we haven't had. We're not excited for anything that's coming because everything that's come has just been something new.
I think that's the problem, Coach. The excitement for Marvel has faded significantly for me. There's some things obviously I'm looking forward to further down the line, but there's nothing that I'm just like, man, I can't go another day without seeing the Marvels or Echo. It's just like, I'm going to watch it when it comes out and I might enjoy it.
Yeah, but if Secret Invasion drops Wolverine, like I'm going to be hyped.
See, right back in. Yeah, and I did see someone recently just said something about that where they're taking the spy thriller bit of Winter Soldier kind of thing and turning it up a bit. And if that's actually true and that's how it plays out, then definitely sign me up because Winter Soldier still remains probably my top movie still.
I'm not worried about it. It has been a boring year, but I think they always knew that. I think part of them knew. Like
they could have told the Marvel Stuff podcast.
They could have told us. They could have been like, "Hey guys, we're gonna take 18 months and we're gonna do nothing but introduce characters."
They should have just like thrown us a bag of just like, here's a bunch of projects that may or may not happen. Speculate away. That would have been fun, but that's not what they did.
That's all right. I'm not. I guess we're gonna turn our corners towards it. Speaking of DC, though, I mean, we do have Flash coming up. I think we're gonna end up reviewing it on here. So,
yeah, I mean, we did Avatar. You guys kind of liked it, and I know we're not like jumping ship. We're not going to become a DC podcast, but it feels like something in the nerd zeitgeist should be talked about, especially something as huge as this Flash movie that
plus
James Gunn and a bunch of other people are saying is the best superhero movie they've seen in 10 years or more. And that's high praise, man. So please save the DC universe.
Yeah, and plus it gives me an excuse. The only time I'm allowed to go to the movies is if I tell my wife it's for the podcast. So
yeah, that's a big selling point for me too. I gotta say that one a lot.
So I'm all for it. I'm excited for it. I think we're gonna talk about it. You guys seem to like it, so we're definitely gonna hit on it. And if it gets gangbusters and it's big, like we said, I mean, when James Gunn takes over, we'll keep talking about Marvel and gives DC more to talk about. We'll expand our profile as needed, but maybe we won't need to because Marvel gets back on track. And
I mean, people have been saying that about our podcast since the beginning, that we could have turned it to like the comic stuff podcast because your boy ran a whole nother podcast for a year. So, but it didn't call for it.
I know, but now we have such a cool logo that we might just always be. We might, even if we like talk about DC every week, I think I'll still just call us the Marvel Stuff Podcast out of spite, just out of ironic spite to everybody.
Well, that'd be a good way to do the joke at the top. This is the Marvel Stuff Podcast. We're here to talk about Marvel jokes. We're actually going to talk about DC this week.
Yep, every single week. I hope nobody finds my jokes funny. By the way, I hope that opening joke I've never had anyone
I've
comment
never had a
positive
complaint.
or negative.
Exactly. So
And my hope is that
we've had thousands and thousands of people come through and listen to our podcast. So
we have lots
maybe it's funny, maybe it's not. If you guys hate it, leave it in the review. But
you know what? We'll put that in a poll at the end of this episode. Is Coach's opening joke just cringy? Is it funny? Do you wish?
Does it show his age?
You wish it would go away. Man's old. Agent Ice Tray is having a good time. He's enthusiastic about nothing, it seems like.
No, he said he's here to complain about the intro joke. So that's one in that column. You better vote in the poll. Adam says he'll still miss Henry, which he's referring to Henry Cavill playing Superman. And I agree, but they're going young. They're going to hire some dude that's like 25 to play the character, and I can respect that they're going young, even though Henry was phenomenal. I wish that he could get his job on The Witcher back.
Could we?
Kind of bums me out.
I was going to say, let's take the last 2 minutes of this podcast to just talk about how much I actually love Henry Cavill. I think it's a good way to end it.
Oh my God, he's the best, dude. He's so hunky and good looking, but he's also a huge nerd, and he's got like the manly hairy chest and like perfect stubble. I'm like, man, Henry Cavill, I don't know how you're not dating all of Hollywood.
I love him in Superman. I love him in Mission Impossible. He is my favorite part of the movie.
Or the reloading the fists.
Reload the guns with the big mustache. He just that's peak right there. Witcher's obviously one of my favorite nerd shows.
Yeah, got the Witcher Funko Pop here. It's Henry Cavill Netflix series. If you guys are watching along,
he's a huge nerd, as we know. He's a big Dungeons and Dragons guy. He's huge into Warhammer 40K. So if you guys have ever heard of this,
they're making a project about it now. He made sure that he announced it. He's like, yep, well, I'm not doing Witcher, I'm not doing Superman, but I'm doing the thing that I love the most. And I don't know anything about Warhammer, but guess who's going to watch it?
I'm telling you, I would be curious to know. I think, I know a bunch about it. I've been watching YouTubes about it for a few months now in excitement, but maybe the answer is like you. Maybe just go in blind, watch the movie. But
well, that's a little bit of extra credit if you want to go that far. I've been listening to the Witcher books on Audible.
Oh,
and
Witcher books are good.
I'm gonna get through those, dude. And then when the next season comes out in like December, maybe I'll revive Gotham City Rogues just to do that show.
Witcher's a good show. Which if you guys want to, we'll cover it. We'll check back in, you guys, when that time comes around. But yeah, Henry Cavill, great dude. Should get in the MCU at some.
Remember when they wanted him to be Hyperion or whatever, or Sentry? They're like, hire him as Marvel Superman despite DC, and they didn't. There's
so many cooler characters than that. I mean, like,
I know that, like, you don't have to make him the counterpart, the clone of Superman. You could just give him a cool character that hasn't been cast yet. Oh, that's one last thing. I guess we wanted to end on Henry Cavill, but it sounds like it's pretty heavily considered Adam Driver got the part of Reed Richards, but hasn't been confirmed by Marvel. So I can't talk on it yet, but it seems like that's going to be our guy. How do you feel about that if that ends up being true?
Like I said,
because at that point, like, I don't want to do too much of a fan cast episode, but this feels like it has more substance
it has a lot of
most.
Yeah, I love Adam Driver.
He's great.
It. I think he will be good as Mr. Fantastic. When the news becomes official, I will be much more enthusiastic about it.
Me too, because I loved Krasinski, even though he only played him for a minute. But the multiverse explains why people look different and stuff. So It doesn't take him off the table entirely. Adam Driver, he's a box office hit. He's a leading man, and he's kind of on fire. Although his most recent movie, it seems people didn't care for it too much. But he's been doing a lot.
That's a weird. Yeah, I gotta watch that.
64. I didn't watch it. I watched The Last Duel though. That was with him and Affleck and Matt Damon. That was an interesting one. He was the villain in that.
Yeah, he's great, and I think he would make a good Mr. Fantastic. So
me too.
It's too often we worry about how people look and not enough about just how they act. So I look for, if that's what it is, and that's what it seems like it is, I'll be excited. Although, like we said, the dream of getting to watch Emily Blunt and
John Krasinski seems to be fading. That's okay. I wasn't like super attached to it. I mean, I get why the speculation was there, and I was totally down for that fan cast, but I'm also got to stay water with this casting stuff, man, because you got to watch them first. I mean, people thought Heath Ledger's the Joker was stupid. Michael Keaton as Batman was stupid, and then they ended up being icons. So you never know what's going to happen.
That's exactly right. Well, this has been fun. We're just glad to check back in. We wanted to give you guys the update on the upcoming shows, and hopefully the revitalization of Marvel is right around the corner. It feels like it. We've had good movies, but this feels like we're going to start a true phase.
These in between things that are technically part of the phase, it doesn't feel like it. So yeah, I'm down. Let's go. Come on, Marvel, bring it back.
Absolutely.
Counting on you.
All right, like I said, vote in the poll. Let us know if you think I'm an idiot and my jokes are awful or great. We'd love to hear it. But in the meantime, just don't have too much fun without us and get forward because into the Spider-Verse, right around the corner.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the board, into the multiverse of spiders that are on their way home.
Mm-hmm. They're actually going up a water spout. Is where they're going. So, the rain's gonna come down though. You're gonna have to start over. But
yeah, see what we said right off the top. Is kids worth it? I don't know because then you end up with these kind of jokes at the end.
God, that joke is money, dude.
I agree.
And the podcast. I'm going.